Hello guys, welcome to this first scenario tutorial. I'm Kez, on Twitch I'm KezSim, and here on YouTube I'm KW Simulation. Today, we're going to be doing a scenario tutorial. It's something that there's a lot of them out there on the internet, but it seems to be something that people still are a bit unsure about things. So hopefully I'll be able to cover everything in these next sort of few videos that I'll do. Today we're going to cover the basics, so we're going to cover how to set up a scenario and how to put in basic AI pathing. And then in future episodes we'll go into a bit more detail about what you can actually do with scenarios, because there is a lot, there's absolute loads that you can do with these scenarios. So what we want to do, let's get started. What we want to do first is we've got Train Sim open, we want to go over to build, and then we want to go to scenario tab as we're here on here, and you want to click on new scenario. So you select your route obviously first, and then click new scenario, and then select the type. So for the purposes of this tutorial, we are going to be using standard scenario, but you do have 4 types. So career is how you do achievements, stuff like that. You have timetabled, which basically has a few extra options compared to a standard scenario, but most people, they just use standard scenarios. You also have free roam, so if you just want to pick up different trains and do different things, you can do that with that. It has a lot of freedom to it. But for normal scenarios, if you're planning to upload scenarios to the internet and stuff like that, you're probably going to use standard scenario. Then you want to select your starting location. So if the route's set up properly, it'll have a load of markers like this one of where you could start. Now I've already got a tutorial scenario ready to go. So what we're going to do is we're going to go on that and then click edit. Wait for it to load. Okay, so now that the scenario has loaded up, you're presented with this sort of view. You'll have your scenario marker for the route itself put right in front of you, and then off to the side here you've got essentially your details that you would use for the scenario itself. So the scenario name, the description, the briefing. So the briefing is what the player will see when they're driving the train. When they press the F1 button, they'll be able to see the briefing. You then also have the author, so if you put yourself down as the author, and you could put the starting location there as well if you want to as well. You then also have your difficulty setting as well as your date, your duration of the scenario, and then the starting time of the scenario. Now for all purposes of this, we're just going to leave these as it is for now. You then also have weather, season, and then the type of the class of traction. I've never really changed that. Same for weather and seasons. I change those quite a lot, but you don't have to if you don't want. You can leave those as it is. Then you've got some little tick boxes here. So you've got basic controls, forcing advanced controls, a force cab camera, which I use all the time. I just think it's better to start the scenario actually in the cab, but you don't have to use this. This is just personal preference of mine. And rolling start. Now rolling start is a pretty cool function, but we won't cover that in this tutorial. We'll cover that later on down the line. So first thing you want to do is you're going to wonder how you want to place your train. So we're going to place a player train to start with. So what you want to do is you want to find a spot where you can essentially place your player train. For the purposes of this, we'll use platform 13. You want to go over to the left side, and you'll see here you've got a load of options here. If you go to consists, you'll then be presented with different options. Now, these will not automatically appear. So if you've downloaded add-ons and third-party stuff, you'll have to click on this little box here, which will set up your filter. You'll then, what you want to do is go through this long list, different dev folders, and find essentially what it is that you're looking for. Now, in the case of me, I've already done it, so I don't need to do it myself, but you would essentially tick the box that you want to use, and that's it. Pretty straightforward. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a ScotRail 158, So we're on the network Scott East route. So I can find the happy days. There we go. And then what you want to do is place that there. So you can see now, I've now placed a static consist. Okay? So nice and straightforward, nothing really to it. What you'll need to do to make this a player train is head back over to this side here and click on the little driver icon and then tap over the train. You'll now see that has appeared above. Happy days. Right. The next thing you want to do is you want to go to the timetable view, which is this icon here. You click on that and you'll see here you've got service 1, which is the train that we've just placed. Now to set this up, click on the little icon again and you're presented with this menu. So you can name your train. So you would normally use like a head code, 1 Romeo 36, just sort of as an example. You can set your start time. The scenario time is at 12, so that's going to be that's going to be player train start time as well. You've then got your player consist, which you want to tick because this is going to be the player train. And then you can also tick unloaded at start if this is where the train is starting, so that basically it's only picking up passengers. You've then got this little drop down menu here, which is the service class or the service type. What you want to do is click on here and then you're presented with a list of options. Now this goes off priority order, so top being highest priority, bottom being lowest priority. A few things to note with this: special doesn't work. It breaks the scenario. Never use this. If you've got like an actual special working, still path it as an express or a stopping passenger, just so that you don't break the scenario basically. For the purposes of this, we're going to set ourselves as an express passenger. Now that will give us higher priority over stopping passengers and freight and stuff like that. If you want to, if you want to be held at the platform for another train to come in, the quickest way to do that is set yourself as stopping passenger, set the other train as express passenger, so that it's got higher priority than you. If you're doing empty stop movements, typically they wouldn't be prioritized over everything else. Even though empty stock is at the top here, I always use light engine so that then you can put it behind everything else. So yeah, nice and easy. So now that we've got that, we need to set ourselves some instructions for the train. So nice and simple. What you want to do is click on the pick up passengers instruction, and this will pick up passengers for Edinburgh, and then highlight over here, and then click. So I clicked this button here, and then clicked on the green line. You can also use the drop down menu if you prefer, but yeah. So now that I've done that, what I can go ahead and do is I need to set the next platform that we're going to pick up from, which we'll just do Haymarket. So we're just doing between Edinburgh and Haymarket, so you get a good idea of how to make a scenario. And then what we want to do is again use the pick up passenger instruction, click that button again, and then press on platform 4. You'll see now a red line has appeared. This is your path for the train. So what you can see here is that we actually we switch over and we don't want to go down this line. So what we want to do to change that, we want to go to waypoint, move this up, not to the top, to there, and then click on it, click there, and then click on the orange line like that. There you go. Now you see the path has changed, so that now I follow the correct line, and that's it. Happy days. And one final thing you want to do is set your end destination. So after it picks up passengers at Haymarket, it'll let it end. The scenario will end. What we'll do as well is we'll go back into here and we'll say unload here, right? And that's it. There's your player train done. So now that you've got a player train in, it's not going to be any good without a bit of AI. So nice and simple. What we'll do is we'll just go a bit further down the track here. And when placing AI, you want to make sure that it doesn't interfere with the same signal block that the player train is in. So for example, I've now gone out to this signal, because this is how I always do my scenario. So I'll never place a train after the signal if it then puts it in the same signal block, because that will mess things up. So what you want to do is make sure you're not in the same signal block, and then you can go ahead and you can place a train. Again, we'll take a ScotRail one, and we'll put that in there. And then we'll get a driver icon, and then we'll go to Timetable, and then to here. So now we've got an AI consist ready to go, and we need to path it. So we're not going to rename this for just the sake of things. It's quite easy. What we want to do is pick up passenger instruction, and we're going to send that into platform 12. Nice and easy. So once that's done, we can go ahead and click off that, that. And one last thing we'll need to do is set the service type. We'll put this as express passenger so that this comes in before we leave. And that's it, you've got your AI train. So now we can test it. What we can do is go ahead and save that and head into the actual scenario. And then we won't test it straight away, we'll restart the scenario so that the signals and everything are actually properly correct, which now they are. See out in front, the signal is red because we're waiting for that train to come in. Normally I'd go through and I'd do a full setup of driving the, setting up the cab, doing the GSMR and all that, but just for the purposes of this scenario, we're not gonna do that. You should be able to see there in the distance that was actually the train moving, and we've got the guard's buzzer, but we'll go into that because you'll want to change these sort of things for making a good scenario. So we'll go into that in a moment. So we've picked up our passengers at Edinburgh, and now we're just waiting for the road so that we can move out. You can see here, there comes the AI train. And then once that's moved into the platform, we will have the road and we'll be able to go. And that's it. So you're just repeating these steps. Repeat until you've got your full scenario full of AI trains, all that kind of thing, as it were. And then you have a scenario, you have a working scenario. And even if you don't ever release them and you just want to make scenarios for yourself, you have that. So now we've got the road. We can take our DRA off. Start to move along. And as you can see on the little HUD here, you've got the orange line has appeared down the mound line W. That's because we've put that waypoint there. So whenever you put a waypoint, it will show on the HUD that we've essentially that's the path that we're taking. You can also use go via instructions, but you don't really use those unless there's a particular instruction that's following after that go via. So waypoint is just fine for just correcting the pathing of the dispatcher. And then we won't actually go ahead and continue to the scenario because obviously we need to get into it. So we know that that works now. So we want to go back into the editor. So now that we're back in the editor, what you'll notice is, okay, the guard is dispatching us on a red. We don't want that. So it's nice and simple. So what you want to do is you want to go back into your timetable view. Now, first of all, try service 1, so you can see that arrives into the platform at 12:02. That's when it opens the doors. So we don't want to dispatch ourselves out until the train's in the platform. So what you want to do is click on your pickup instruction. Click this little button here. This is your timetabled option. Now you only need to do this for the actual player train itself, just to ensure that you pick up passengers and you're waiting to the correct time. And then quite simple, we'll set that to 12:02, and then there you go. You've now got, well, basically the door should close at the correct time, and we'll test that in a moment. So once we've done that, like I said, it's pretty much rinse and repeat. Now you'll notice if you've driven over people's scenarios, they have stuff like destinations on the trains and stuff like that. To get your destinations, all you want to do is you want to look at the manual, and it'll have if it's an AP product, or trying to think. Actually, a lot of them nowadays have the options to set the destinations. It wasn't necessarily the case back in the day, but now you can. And all you want to do basically is read the manual, look for the destination code, and it'll tell you how to set up on there, how you set up the destination. So for the purposes of this, we're not going to put destinations in, but at least now you know how to find them. Okay, so once we've done all that, that's it. That's all there is to it. You could go off now and you could make a scenario and happy days, but you're probably wondering, okay, but how do people get real workings? So I'm going to leave the links in the description below, but there's 2 ways to do it. You could do it off the working timetables, which are available on the Network Rail archives, or you could do it off based off a working within the past 7 days, which you can use real-time trains for. Those 2 are the best ways to make scenarios that are based on real life, if you're going for realism. Obviously, if you want to make a fictional scenario, go ahead, go nuts, and put trains wherever and all that kind of stuff. But by doing that, it'll also show you what the train should be, and all that sort of stuff. And if you want confirmation of exactly what that train should be, you can look on Flickr, and you can type the head code of the train in on Flickr, and it should really tell you what that train is. The chances are someone's taken a picture of it, kind of thing. So that's all there is to it. So as of right now, there you go. In the next tutorial, the plan will be to go over stuff like weather events and stuff like that. Basically more of the advanced stuff, but the basics is right there. As you can see, quite straightforward, easy to get into, and once you've sort of done that a few times, you can then move into the advanced stuff. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions, by all means join my Discord and ask, and I'll be happy to help, or leave a comment on this video and I will answer you as soon as I can. Thank you all very much for watching, and have a lovely day.